Alright, so welcome back, guys. So this is your host, ClickClack01. Wait, do I? No, I normally only say that whenever there's Let's Play going on. But anyway, so this time I wanted to bring you the Cyber Dragon build because this is a deck that I actually own in real life. The Black Wings are for my friends. The Blue Eyes is for one of my friends. Cyber Dragon is for me. And I'll go through eventually almost all of these. Some of these are just not complete yet, like X-Sabers and Gem Knights. Oh, and Herakti, that's basically just for me, to see if I can update it to make it any faster than the old version that I had. But today I just wanted to be able to talk about Cyber Dragons and where they stand in terms of competitive play. They're definitely, I would say, a top tier build. At least you can get them into a configuration that is top tier. But in terms of God tier, I mean, it's still going to rely on basically the one normal summon a turn, and then hope that you have other good support for special summoning from the deck or from your hand. So we'll just go through it. I'm going to try to keep the deck profile fairly fast, and then I've got some replays that we can go through. So the reason why I love running the Jizukiru, the Kaiju guy, is first of all, he's searchable with Cyber Repair Plant. My old Cyber Dragon deck back in the day used to run 3 Cyber Repair Plants, because back then that was about the only thing that Cyber Dragon Core. I think there was that stupid Cyber Network, right? That continuous trap card that you would... Yeah, the Cyber Network. Man, this thing was so terrible. It was so trash. Nowadays, there are much better Cyber cards. I typically will search for the Cyber Emergency. Sometimes I'll search for the Cyber Repair Plant because it can search out any light machine monster. So that goes for this, the Yada guy, the Gizmek Yada, who I'll get to him soon enough. The Galaxy Soldier, and then also your Kaiju. So let's say you're running up against a Dragoon. I actually top deck this guy often enough that I just play it over the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and no more problems pretty well. And then you just summon a Cyber Dragon core, take the Kaiju that you just gave them, plus your core, and you make a Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. So it's usable for you down the road. You don't have to leave them with a 3300 beater on their side of the field. But, excuse me, that's the reason why I play him. Therion King Regulus. What can I say about this guy? There's a reason he's so fucking expensive. Because he is so fucking good. I actually have a combination that I used in an old ABC deck where I summoned A to Z. The Dragon Buster, whatever it was called. You know, the A to Z cannon Dragon Buster network thingy. I have a method where I was using, what was it? Extra Foolish Burial? It's called Extra Foolish Burial? Oh, well, maybe it's hyphenated. Is this the one that pay half your life points? Yeah, and then you send XYZ Dragon Cannon, or whatever it's called, the XYZ guy. Let me see. XYZ Dragon... Oh, dear God. Dragon Cannon? XYZ... Oh, it's hyphenated. Excuse me. So it's XYZ Dragon Cannon. You send him to the grave using the Extra Foolish Burial. Then you play Therion to equip him to the back row, right? And then you summon ABC Dragon Buster like normal, because that's really easy to do. But then you can take the XYZ Dragon Cannon that is equipped, or you can actually even use, what was it called? Monster Train? No. Monster Express? Yeah, or you can use Monster Express because it's searchable. I'm going to get into the deck eventually, but this was pretty cool. The fact that you could equip XYZ Dragon Cannon to him. Then you take the ABC that's on the field as a monster. You fuse the two together because A to Z, it does not... Oh, is it hyphenated probably? A to... It just says that those two monster names. It doesn't say that they have to exist as monsters. So that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind. It just says Cyber Dragon. So if Cyber Dragon, if you equip this Cyber Dragon to Therion King Regulus, he can then be used with the Kaiju that's sitting on the other field. I'm just using an example. If this runs against any machine decks, oh my god, this thing will absolutely obliterate them. But you can take the Cyber Dragon that's equipped as a back row to Regulus, and then take their machine monsters and make Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. Basically for free, right? Because you don't need the monster equipped to Regulus to activate his effect. You just use him to tribute himself to stop anything. It doesn't destroy, but it does... I think it stops anything, right? So you can stop an Ash Blossom, which is really nice. So that way they can't, like, negate you for other stuff. It could stop a Gamma. Whatever, you name it, it's really good for that. And it's searchable as well, because I often summon quite a bit of level 5s, and you can only summon Cyber Dragon Infinity once per turn by overlaying on top of Cyber Dragon Nova. So I wanted to come up with another rank 5 that is still a machine, because if you use Noxture's effect, and I think there's one other guy who says that basically you're limited to only machine monsters. So I wanted to go after a machine. Infinite Track River Stormer, this guy's very cheap. I just picked up one for less than $1 the other day. And you can detach one material from this card, take one Earth machine monster from your deck, and either add it to your hand or send it to the grave. Add Regulus to your hand. Oh my god. And then whatever you just discarded, or detached rather, to activate River Stormer's effect, then you can equip it to Regulus. So you're guaranteed to have a monster in the grave to special summon him for free, and then he's got 2800 attack to boot. A lot of times I like to actually equip a Cyber Dragon Hertz, because I know that during my opponent's turn I'm probably going to activate the effect, and then I'll get Hertz's effect for free. I'll get to that when I get to it. Cyber Dragon, he's obviously the name, the phenom. He is the legend that this deck revolves around. But everyone already knows Cyber Dragon, so there's not much more to talk about that. So Gizmek Yata, the reason why I include him and only one of him is because so often I notice myself, like, every now and then I'll normal summon Hertz. I actually even normal summon Noxture one time. You don't really want to do that. And that was actually before I had Gizmek Yata in the deck. But so often you'll get the core, right? You'll search for it using maybe Cyber Emergency or something like that. But you don't want to really keep him on the field because he's not a level 5. And unless you've got the Power Bond, maybe the Cyberload Fusion as well, he's not really doing anything for you, right? Other than acting as a Cyber Dragon monster, so that way you could take your opponent's machines and make Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. Maybe for the Overload Fusion as well, but you can obviously overload in the grave. So what good is Cyber Dragon Core to you anymore? Not really any. So you can always just tribute one normal summoned or set monster, and then special summon him. And then during your main phase, if this card was normal or special summon this turn, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one monster. I rarely ever do that, but I guess that's another opportunity for you to put like a Dre on the field, or Hertz, or something else. I just pretty well saw him. I originally had a Quick Draw Synchron in here, who is almost like a really cheap version of Galaxy Soldier. And I had a Road Warrior in here as well. I think I had the Road Warrior instead of the Eternity Dragon. I'm not exactly sure, but that plan, I kind of scratched that plan, and I've been running Gizmek Yata, so he's much better. Also, he's searchable, unlike Quick Draw Synchron. You can search for him with Cyber Repair Plant, so I like him. 3 Galaxy Soldiers. This guy's a must. I run 3 of them in my Galaxy deck, obviously, but in this deck as well, I think ABCs also do the same thing because of how good he is. He's able to search for another copy of himself. He's searchable with Cyber Repair Plant. He's a level 5 machine, and he's light. Like, he was made to be put into Cyber Dragon deck. So he's really good. You basically discard a machine monster. Oh no, it just has to be one other light monster. So all of these guys, except for the Regulus, count towards being able to discard for him, which is good. And then he puts himself on the field. And then you can obviously activate the second one's effect to put another Galaxy Soldier on the field, and then you go into rank 5. But you only get the search in effect once per turn. So that's fine. That's why I run them. I run two Cyber Dragon Dries because, well, I still can't give them up yet. Because I used to have 3 back in the day. And some people run 0 of him because they don't really like his normal summoning effect. The ability to already have like a Noxture on the field that you special summon because you discarded something else, right? You discard one other monster. It doesn't discriminate what type of monster. And then you can summon Dry and make Noxture and Dry both level 5. Boom. There you go. And there are times that I've even had Weir and Dry in my hand at the same time. You normal summon Dry. Weir's effect goes off. Weir summons himself. And then you can make both of them level 5 because Dry's effect changed to Weir's effect. And boom. You get it. Now, you got to be careful with activating Weir's effect if you normal summon Cyber Dragon Core. Well, actually, any of these guys right here, Hertz or Noxture, if you're normal summoning and then he special summons, because he will pump their attack up by 500, which makes them no longer machine duplication targets. So you just got to be careful about that. This guy's probably the most useless out of all the monsters, but he does have his... He is a useful idiot. Let's put it that way, okay? He does have his uses, and that's about it. And then Cyber Dragon Core, he's your searcher. So you can search out your Cyber Dragon spells or traps, or your Cyber spells or traps. Typically, I will go for a Cyber Emergency because it's a really good card. Or the Cyber Repair Plant. Every now and then I'll go for the Cyberload Fusion. But usually if I'm activating Cyberload Fusion, it's because I top decked it. So that's he does have one other effect that I rarely use, but if you're in a pinch, he can banish himself from the grave. It's sort of like a Cyber Dragon situation. If they control a monster and you don't, let me see. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from the grave. Special summon one Cyber Dragon monster. Not Cyber Dragon, Cyber Dragon monster. So it could be regular Cyber Dragon or any of the other guys that have Cyber Dragon as a name. And then special summon it from your deck, and you can only use one Cyber Dragon core effect per turn. So you can't activate both on the same turn. Just keep that in mind. And then Noxure. He discards a monster to special summon him, and then if he is normal or special summon, he can bring a 2100 attack or a 2100 defense machine monster back with him to the field. So the 2100 attack monsters obviously are like Cyber Dragon or Cyber Dragon Infinity or Cyber Dragon Nova. The only one with 2100 defense, I think, is Cyber Twin Dragon. So that would be the other guy that he could refer to. But he can also bring back obviously a Rampage Dragon because he's got 2100 attack. Hurts. I mainly use his effect for when he goes to the grave. It says if he goes to the grave. So he's basically your Shadow Mist, your elemental hero Shadow Mist of this deck. You can Foolish Burial him and bring a Cyber Dragon monster. Or no, bring a Cyber Dragon from your deck to your hand or from the graveyard to your hand. So all of these guys count as Cyber Dragon in the grave. So they're all eligible targets in the grave. But the only target that's eligible in the deck, of course, is the original, the OG Cyber Dragon. But his other effect is... And again, he's like Cyber Dragon Core. You can only activate one of these effects per turn. That is when he is special summoned, so like 1-for-1 or something like that, or Cyber Rev system, you can make his level 5. So there you go. There's another target to be able to make your rank 5s and everything. Instant Fusion, it's for your Panzer Dragon, another easy way to make level 5. Worst case scenario, when this card is destroyed and sent to the grave at the end phase because of Instant Fusion, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. 1-for-1. It's a target for Noxure or Hurts, mainly Hurts. That's the reason why I run 3 Hurts, because I really like them. I used to run 3 Noxures and 2 Hurts. I decided that combination was bad, reverse it, and it's much better. 2 Overload Fusions. Don't run any more, don't run any less. That's my recommendation, because you don't want to top deck this card, right? You need to wait till you sort of fill up your graveyard with your machine monsters. I always keep an Overtech Dragon or an Over Dragon in the grave just in case of the situation that calls for it. You can read his effect. I'll get to him later. But most of the time, I'm summoning the Rampage Dragon. Because, good God, the ability to attack 3 times is so freaking good. But you have to banish your shit, right? And you're limited to only your Dark Machine monsters. So that's your Chimera Techs here. The Rampage and the Over Dragon. Not the Fortress. He's only Contact Fusion. But you only want to run 2 Overloads. The Cyber Rev system, I don't really know how else to explain it other than only run 2. You don't want 3 because it gets very cloggy. Now, it says special summon one Cyber Dragon from your hand or grave. So if it's from your hand, only the OG Cyber Dragon counts. But if it's from the grave, then all the Cyber Dragon monsters become Cyber Dragon in the grave. So that's the reason why you don't really want to top deck this unless you're in a good situation, right? So you don't want too many. You certainly don't want like 2 of these in your hand. That would kind of suck, I guess. But you have to run Power Bond. I'm moving on to Power Bonds. Rev system is pretty self-explanatory how to use that. Easily makes your rank 5s. Moving on to Power Bond, though, this card is so good. If you're running a machine deck, so your Ancient Gears and this shit, you've got to run Power Bond. So many people opt out of running Power Bond. You're crazy, dude. I've OTK'd so many times with Power Bond. It's so worth it. I rarely ever see any damage inflicted to me at the end phase because there's usually no end phase. Just a little secret between you and me. There's no end phase. Okay, and then Cyber Emergency. So, this is another, basically a Cyber Dragon core, but for like the monster side of things. So you get to add 1 Cyber Dragon monster or from your deck to your hand. Add 1 light machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set. Or 1 Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your hand. So, that's really good. There's multiple things that you can go after with this. Dragoon negated this one time because I was about to, like, run over him. And when he negated it, it says that if the activation of this card in its owner's possession was negated by your opponent's card effect and sent to the grave, you can discard 1 card, add this card to your hand. I needed this card to win. So I just discarded something and brought it right back and played it, and then I ended up winning against Dragoon. I think I have that video still around, but this is so super important. You have to run 3. There is a reason why this card was super expensive when it first came out until it got reprinted. Machine duplication. It's very good. It works for your cores, your Noxiers, and your Hurts, and it allows you to special summon 2 Cyber Dragons from your deck. Boom, there's an instant rank 5 right there. Go for the Nova, and then your Infinity. It's very good. Only run 2. I've been working with this for years. I mean, I started running Cyber Dragons first back in 2014. And then 2015, when we got the Nova and the Infinity. Oh, that was like so... Well, actually, I think that Infinity was on his way. But the way that YGO Pro worked is that you could actually use him even though he wasn't technically out yet. That is when Cyber Dragon started to become very competitive and top tier. And then when Rampage Dragon came out, I think these came out at the same time, but I think Rampage was a little bit... No, actually, these were at the same time. So, yeah, that was actually what made them so good, was a combination of, like, the Infinity and Rampage Dragon. But Nova definitely came out first. And Nova was good, but Infinity and Rampage Dragon definitely made them a hell of a lot better. Foolish Burial. You can Foolish Burial a core to activate his effect if you're in the pinch and you need to bring out a Cyber Dragon for free. I typically will Foolish Burial the Hurts, though. So that way I can add a Cyber Dragon from my deck or from my grave to my hand. I like that. Cyber Repair Plan, I already mentioned this because it helps you to search out stuff like your Yada, your Galaxy Soldier, your Kaiju, and any of the other light machines, basically. So, Limiter Removal, I had one lying around. It's the original one. I think it's from Pharaoh's Servant, is it not? So I have the original one sitting around. It says Magic card on it, so I know it's the original. And I was like, you know what, this would be cool. I'll just throw this in here. I love Limiter Removal. Oftentimes, certainly back in the day, I used to run it at 1 when it was only at 1. This card can be a game changer just like Power Bond. Cyberload Fusion. I like only running 1 of this card because it is searchable. But it allows you to do an extra bonus. Like, if you've got 2 little weenies on the field and you're attacking with your Cyber Dragon Infinity, you attack with 1 weenie, attack with 2 weenies, and then Cyberload Fusion these 2 weenies during the battle phase and bring out Cyber Twin Dragon and attack for a bonus 5,600. Yes, it's actually pretty nice. Cyber End Dragon for the piercing. Power Bond with piercing is very good. Cyber Eternity Dragon, just because there are situations where you only have 1 Cyber Dragon monster and you might have a non-Cyber Dragon monster, so it just requires 2 other machines if that's the case. Not always do I have all of the Cyber Dragon monsters that I would need to summon like a Cyber N or a Cyber Twin or even the Rampage Dragon. So I like to have this guy as extra usability. He's not really that good. God, Cyber Dragons could really use some more support because this guy, when he came out, and Seeger, God, they're just really not that good. So, Overdragon, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. He's been around forever. Cyber Twin Dragon, very good. Never lose this guy. This guy is just because I can do the contact fusion, pull stuff from my opponent's side of the field. I do all sorts of crazy shit with him. You don't need 3, though. You honestly don't need 3. Maybe put it in the side deck if you're playing against a really machine-heavy deck, but I don't see any reason to run 3. Rampage Dragon, you want to run 2 of them. He's really good. The ability to, when he gets summoned, I only like to use 2 Cyber Dragon monsters. To be able to pop 2 backward on your opponent's side of the field and then send 2 Cyber Dragon monsters. Well, it's just machines. So you can send like a Galaxy Soldier and a Hurts to the grave to allow him to attack up to 2 more additional times. Actually, I think that's redundant. But then you just sent a Hurts, so you get his effect, assuming you hadn't activated already previously that turn. So that's really good. Being able to attack 3 times at 2,100 each, or with Power Bond, 4,200 each, that's extremely good. Cyber Dragon Infinities, basically like a mini Quasar Stars Dragon Assault mode. Being able to also then, like Silent Honor Arc, be able to take that opponent's attack position monster and like cradle it under its arm so that way they can't use it anymore is very good. I've already talked about River Stormer, who basically allows you to add your Regulus from your deck to your hand. And then Cyber Dragon Nova. This guy back in the day was how I used to get over 4,000 attack monsters because I had to ban it. I don't like having to banish my Cyber Dragon monster on my side of the field in order to pump him up to 4,200. But now with Seeger, who 2 machine monsters including Cyber Dragon, he can make another monster that I control with 2,100 or more attack. For the rest of that turn, it gains another 2,100. So, but then no, the opposing player doesn't take any damage involving him, Seeger. So that's basically it. Let's go ahead and jump into the duels. we'll start with Over Dragoon. Because this is always something that you want to be able to test yourself out against. Something that is very negate heavy, like a Dragoon deck. Something that is very powerful. This deck can pretty well get over powerful stuff like a 4,000 attack beads, like Photon Galaxy or Blue Eyes Chaos Max, that type of stuff. See, I was able to pull it back because I needed that shit. I needed it for the machine duplication, mainly. But also the Cyber Repair Plant will give me my Kaiju. Bring Regulus. And then I just took the Kaiju so that way I could make the Fortress Dragon. Obviously, I could have brought the Kaiju underneath of the Infinity as well, but that was the idea behind that one. Okay, we'll go ahead and do a... I did Altergeist a couple times because... Altergeist is a really good deck to sort of test against because of how annoying they fucking are. So this is me going first. You typically want to go second with this deck, but either way, doesn't really matter. There you go. I mean, obviously that was completely unnecessary, but I just wanted to show off with the power of Cyber End Dragon. And then, let me see, we did that one, so we'll go up to Altergeist. I hate Altergeist with a passion. There we go. You need to get this out ASAP. Yeah, the ability to attack 3 times is what comes in clutch so often. That's the reason why I love Rampage Dragon. I remember I was just watching some old videos to try to get inspiration to start doing deck profiles again. The amount of people that quit out once they saw that Rampage Dragon could attack for a 3rd time, oh, it was so hilarious. I loved it. Cyber Dragons back then were just so good. Oh, this is against Adventurers. I did 3 duels against Adventurers, and this was apparently 3 out of 3. If you can beat this deck 3 times in a row, you're ready to move on to the next tough challenge. Because this is another case of you having to be able to not only get over negates because of Griffin Rider, but also being able to get over this stupid shit which protects this token, which this stupid token is annoying. You have to get rid of this token. Otherwise, this equip spell will keep sending shit on your side of the field back to your hand. So, if you start off with the Kaiju, use it wisely. It's like a token to go to the bathroom in California, because apparently you have to buy shit and use a token to go to the bathroom. Otherwise, they won't let you actually use the bathroom. You have to use it wisely. Choose a monster that's annoying. So I chose the Griffin Rider because I knew bad shit was going to happen if I left it on the field, because it's basically a free negate. And get it out of the way, and I can obviously take care of that Kaiju later. I'll worry about it later. So, real quickly, I guess I'll show you. That's the reason why I had to make the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, is because I forgot that stupid Weir makes this guy have too much attack, because it bumps it up to 600, so I wouldn't have been able to activate Machine Duplication. So, thankfully, he did have a machine on the other side of the field, so I could go ahead and make the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, dropping him back down, so I could activate Machine Duplication and make my rank 5, which is actually what I wanted. There you go. I don't really care about the equip spell as long as the continuous spell goes to the grave. That's all that really matters for adventurers, or whatever the hell their name is. So that's that. We got over that. Dams out there. Oh, there's another Dragoon. There you go. And that's pretty well how you do it. I like this guy to be able to get over the Dragoon because he can pump up these guys. Oh, well, except for this guy. It has to have over 2100, or at least 2100 attack. And then I can pump it up to get over him because he'll have probably at 4000 because he'll have negated something during my turn. And then you just have to be able to punch over for like 42 or something. Oh my god, Dogmatica. I fucking hate Dogmatica. They're annoying as well. Thankfully, this guy overextended, so it doesn't really matter. And I can keep adding it back, so that's all I did. Oh, well, actually, I didn't need to at that point. Like, I don't understand why people run so many Solemns. It's not necessary. Like, it's so stupid. So you saw I was able to special summon because of Cyber Rev System because he was in my grave, right? The Hertz. So he became the level 5, which was nice. Activate normal summon core and activate his effect. Oh, that's... Yeah, see, I just used Core's effect, which is fine. So then I get to just add something. There you go. Go into a Cyber Dragon Nova special summon. Go into an Infinity. Absorb. That pretty well sealed his doom. So I've got 2 negates. Infinity negates, and then I get 1 free negate from Regulus. So that's really good. Oh my god. Gren Maju. I fucking hate Gren Maju. This son of a bitch is so annoying. The Inspector Border. Because you can't activate monster effects until you put like either a ritual or an extra deck monster on the field. And then if you've only summoned 1, then you only get to activate 1 monster effect. This guy shouldn't even fucking exist. I hate him. Oh no, I needed that. Thankfully he's a machine. So I was able to get him out of there. Negate. Negate. There you go. My god. You need to put as... In this day and age, with the effects that people want to activate, you need to have as many negate things on the field as possible. So your Infinities and your Regulus. You want to have that. I think I have in... I do have a side deck compilation that involves like 2 Solemn Strikes and a Solemn Warning, because that's also pretty good if you go first. There you go. Pretty well, it's just that simple. Like, Regulus is so good once he comes to the field. I just really hope that he gets reprinted at some point. And then if he, during your opponent's turn, right, if you've already activated Hertz this turn, the reason why I always like to equip Hertz is because if they activate an effect that you have to negate, then you can just send Regulus, which is what you have to do to negate it, and then Hertz goes to the grave along with him, and then you get Hertz's effect again to bring another Cyber Dragon from either the grave or from the deck to your hand for free. So that's why that's really good. And it's not even really fair to use Cyber Dragons against ABCs or anything that's machines, because it's just too easy. They make it just too easy. Oh, this is back when I was still running the field spell, but I found out you don't need it. Especially once I discovered that XYZ, the rank 5 monster, the Infinitrack Stormtrooper or Driver, whatever the fuck his name is, I don't even remember. I think it's like Driver or something. It's just that fast, dude. It's just that fast. And then you can power bond. I can still power bond. There you go. Very nice. Now, I also activate, so when you banish your Cyber Dragon Dry, if this card is banished, you can target one Cyber Dragon you control. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects this turn. Obviously, that didn't apply here, but that's just an extra effect. Again, in order to stay competitive in this world, you need cards that do more than just one thing. It's sort of like in Pokemon, how I prefer a Pokemon that is dual attribute, because if you just run the single, then you need to have more stab control, right? So it's the same thing here. You need to have monsters that have more than one effect that can do multiple things, like Dry, Hertz, Galaxy Soldier. It can not just special summon itself, but it can also do some adding control there. Cyber Dragon Infinity not only takes their monster, but it also has negating ability. Rampage Dragon can blow up their back row as well as multiple attacks. It's all very good. And then obviously in main phase 2, you can go into the Infinitrack and bring out the Regulus to your hand as well. So that's another free summon. That's something I could have actually done before I went ahead and went full throttle, but you know, whatever. It doesn't really matter in some situations. Just you want to try to protect yourself as much as possible. So here's a classic example of using those two weenies to finish off your opponent in whatever situation may call for it. Oh, this is Adventurers again. So there you go. Sometimes the Cyber Dragon Infinity is not as important once you've been able to use his other effects. So that's the reason why I felt confident using him in the Power Bond form to make something a little bit better to help me actually win. There you go. Simple as that. I forget what this is. Oh, it's against ABCs again. Yeah, I mean, Power Bond with this deck is just so freaking good. I don't think I had added limiter removal at this point, but you can see you can do the same thing with the limiter removal, except it affects your whole crew on the field, which is extremely good. Especially if you get that bonus double attack for Regulus, and I mean, he's just going to negate something anyway eventually, then it was all really good in the end, because you got the bonus attack without having to be destroyed without using his effect properly. There you go. So I didn't want to use the limiter removal at that point because he would have been left with still 900 life points. So that's the reason why I held off. But in the end, I was able to win anyway.